reporting. Reporting is obviously one of the most important part of payroll, as we all need to get the data out of the system that we have already put into it. So we want to make sure everyone knows how to use the reporting tools within isolved. Reminder, these trainings are the third Tuesday of every month, right at 2 o'clock, and we'll continue to do them. This month is reporting. Next month, we're going to talk about our new app and online employee self-service. So that will give you an overview of what that looks like, how it works, and so forth. We rolled that out at the beginning of the year. It's been working really well so far, and we've been getting people converted over to it. So that'll be a good one for next month. So reporting. So once you get into isolved, all the reporting lives in the reporting tab here, as that should be pretty sense there. So if we go to reporting, the most frequently accessed part of the reporting is the report archive here. The report archive shows all of the reports that are generated with each payroll. The nice thing about the report archive is that we can add just about anything to the list of reports, almost every report. Not every report is available, but if you need a report that's going to be generated with every payroll, we can go ahead and take care of that. So you can see this is my demo company, so we don't have a ton of different reports here. The most common reports are the payroll summary and the payroll register, and you just click on which one you want and hit view report, and those will come up. Here's your payroll summary, tells you exactly how much money is going to come out of the bank on payday. Also, if you scroll down in it, it gives you a full summary of all the taxes. This is all of the taxes on the second page. If you scroll down just a little bit more, this is the employer taxes only. So if you're posting your payroll in QuickBooks, you may just want to look at this employer tax only. As we scroll down, you're going to see a summary of all the wages, all the memo calcs, which are generally employer matches. And then we have a summary of all of our deductions as well. So you can see the summary here. The payroll detail report the payroll register report is just about as you would expect, shows each individual employee's checks. We'll give that a second to load. And this is also a very common one. This literally gives you every employee's checks, their deductions, and their taxes. It also shows in the top of each section how much their net pay was and how much and where their direct deposit is going. So this is a very useful report. These are the two most common reports that people run, the payroll summary and the payroll register. You can look up here. We've got all of our pay dates. If you scroll down, this will show you the pay dates that have been run. We have a year filter, so you can come look at multiple years. All the data that is in the system will show up here. Nothing ever gets purged. So if you need to go back to 2019 or 2020, you can go back and pull a specific report from that time. So you just click on the year and hit filter. Hitting filter is important, doesn't automatically go. So you do want to do that. But otherwise, these are all the reports will show up here for you. You can see copies of those. Some other things that you may want to look at in here are the vouchers. The vouchers are basically paper pay stubs. So if you wanted to see what those look like, you can do that. That is interesting. If there is an exceptions report that shows up, that's important to see as well. This one says there's invalid tax ID numbers, which I know because it's my demo company, but that's also something important to look at. If we have departments set up for you, we'll likely put a labor allocation report in here for you as well. You may notice that this says it's queued overnight. There are some reports that don't generate immediately. They need to generate overnight, so they won't be available until tomorrow. So some of the larger reports, like the labor allocation reports, those get pushed off and get held until the next day. So that's the report archive. Like I said, the most common section that gets used. The next most common section is client reports. This is a list of many hundreds of reports in here that are available for you to run. These are all available on demand, and you can see that there are different report types here. Some of them are a date range report. Some of them are as of date or a payroll date run. Date range is just like it sounds. You could run January 1st to May 18th and get a range in that report. And as of date is going to go back and say, I want to see everything that is all the data that's in the system as of March 31st, 2021, for example. And then we have a by payroll run report, and that will give you a drop down here in the options to give you each payroll run. You can come run that report. There are tons of reports in here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I do encourage you to come take a look and see what is in here. The most commonly used reports are, if we scroll down, we have a check history detail and a check history summary. So similar to what they sound. If you look at the description here, we have This report displays one record for every employee paid in the date range with gross and net details. So it's a history. Everything's lumped together by employee. So I'm going to just run this really quickly. We'll do 1/1/2020 to 5/18/2021. And okay, so it's telling me I can't do more than a year. So we'll just do, let's do 5/19. I'm not sure what's in here for data, so let's get as much as we can. We have options, so we can choose if you have multiple companies in your system, you can choose that. If you have different pay groups, you can choose that. You can also search by employees as well. Start with the last name and then first name. Just type the first few letters and it will give you a drop down. So let's see if we can't get anything here. So here we go. So we'll have, you could choose a specific employee if you wanted to, or if you leave it blank, it'll show you all of them. You can sort the report by different things. Not all reports have this, but you can sort the reports by default. It's going to go by last name, first name. But if you wanted it to be different, you could do that, and you could do multiple levels of sort. You can also include the employer taxes or the workers' comp if you wanted. Some reports will allow you to export this in Excel. This one is a PDF only report. So I'm going to hit generate report. When you hit generate report, it's going to go in the background. It's going to run for a moment. Then you have to go to my reports queue. I'm going to start a couple of reports before I go to my reports queue. So I'm going to run the check history detail report as well. Same time. Let's just do it from. And we'll just run it on our one employee so we can see all the checks for that one employee for this time range. And I'm going to generate that report. The other reports that are very commonly used are the labor allocation reports. So if we scroll down a little bit more, you can see we have a number of labor allocation reports here and labor distribution reports. So the most commonly used are the labor allocation summary and the labor allocation detail. Those reports do just what you think they do. They show everything broken down by department. The leave accruals reports are also important. You can see the leave accruals reports in here that tell you exactly what everyone's PTO balances are. If you wanted to see a dollar value for liabilities at the end of the year, this is often something accountants will ask for. And so you can come in here, and if someone has 80 hours on the books, it will tell you the dollar amount of wages that are associated with that as well. So you can look at that. Those are really helpful. The last report that we see run a lot is the periodic payroll register. This is very similar to the payroll detail, check history detail and check history summary. However, this one just gives a bit more information on it. So, and this can be filtered by, as you can see, department location or any other filters you have on there. So again, lots of reports in here, but for the most part, there's almost a report for everything you might need. We'll talk about the report writer for things that may not be in there yet. But let's go see our report. So from anywhere here, we can go to my reports queue at the top, or you can go to the my reports queue in the navigation on the left. So either place, and you're going to see both of our reports have run. We just hit view report. Sometimes the generation will not have ended yet. If you just go and right here after you process that, this may not be available. If that's the case, you can hit the refresh button here in the middle to see those. Now we have our check history summary report in our demo company. And this, again, same thing, shows the totals for every employee and the memo calcs, taxes, employer taxes that we talked about, and deductions. And this shows each employee, and we can go right down and get that report. So if I looked at the check history detail report, I'm not sure what's going to show up in this report. For if the employee I chose has any hours in the demo company, he does. Okay. So there's a couple of checks in here. So we have 4/9 pay date, 4/23 pay date, 5/7 pay date. So you can see this is each check broken down. So if an employee comes to you and says, hey, I need my last 5 paychecks because I'm going to get a mortgage, this is the report you would run for them. And this could do that. Before you go run that report, I would tell them to go log into employee self-service. They can get their own last 4 or 5 pay stubs because that's all available for them on employee self-service. But if you need to run the report, this is the one to run. So that is the client report screen. Again, that's probably the second most commonly used area of reporting. Lots of filters, lots of options. Take a look through these. If you have questions, the best thing to do is just to run the report, see what it looks like, see what it does. So take a peek at those. The next thing we're going to look at, we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to the return archive. The return archive is where all of your quarterly reports live. So what we need to do is we just need to select our quarter, year, and period, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, for example, and we can hit filter. This will give us all of our quarterlies for the quarter that was processed. This is a demo. It has multiple states in it. So you'll see that most people are only going to see Maine and federal. So if you do that, you can see one report by just hitting the view report option. That'll give you that one report, or you can click all of the options here, or however many which ones you want. If you just want the first 5 or 6, you can click those and hit view selected returns. So here's that one report with our quarterlies in it. We scroll down, you can see all the information. Again, demo company, so it's all 0. If we went and looked at the other report, this is going to give us all the different states. You know, if this is 23 pages, you can just save this to your hard drive or print it off and put it in your files, whatever you're comfortable with. So these are where the quarterlies live, is in the return archive. We do send a note out every quarter when we post the quarterlies. We review all the quarterlies before we publish them. So sometimes it takes us a couple weeks to get through them after the end of the quarter. And we typically try to get those out before the 15th of the month to make sure all the tax payments and so forth go correctly as we review them all. So if they're not there on the first day of the month, for example, give us a few days to get those published. And like I said, usually we do that about the middle of the month after the end of the quarter. So, and you can go back, all the history is in here. So you just choose the year and the period, and there's all your quarterlies. To get your year-end reports, that's under the year-end report archive on the left-hand side in the navigation. Again, same thing at the top, you'll have all the years that we've done payroll for you. So you'll see all that information. If you want, you can go in here. I would recommend looking at the W-2 employer copies or the W-3. Those are the most common ones. We do print these and mail these to you at the end of the year, but a lot of times folks like an electronic copy. We can see exactly what the employer copy looks like. Come right in here. We see exactly what the W-2s look like for each employee. Save those, print those, whatever you like. Same thing with the W-3. So there we go. Here's our W-3. So we ran and opened that. So those are really, really good to have. Your accountant obviously generally wants those at the end of the year. I would say the least used portion of the report module is the report writer. It's pretty powerful, and it allows you to create custom reports for your company. So we're going to go through and we're going to create a quick report. This will just give you an overview. I really would recommend that you take the classes in the isolved University. To get to that, click up at the top here and go to University and just search Report Writer. There are a few classes, they're about 15 or 20 minutes a piece, and those give you a deep dive into the Report Writer. So we're going to just do a high-level overview right now of the Report Writer, but it'll give you a good idea. The other thing you can do is click the help icon up here in the top right, and here are all the specific articles that are associated with the report writer. So you can come in here and say, I want to know how to do a calculated column report. I want to know how to do a date range report, or creating a check file, how do I create a CSV file, and some best practices in here. There are also, like I said, video classes for you to watch. So the report writer, like I said, pretty powerful. So the best thing to do is spend some time with it and use the university to learn those things. So I'm going to hit add new. Today, I want to do a certification report out of the HR piece of isolved. So the report type is going to, it allows you to have certain data. So if I wanted a date range employee summary report, I could do that. If I wanted my labor allocation reports, I would say probably the most used reports are the payroll check detail reports, because if you want to run a payroll report, you can do HR, all the HR fields. That's what I'm going to choose today. But each one of these report types is what's going to allow you to choose the data that you get back in your report. Unfortunately, you can't mix and match. I can't do a check report with HR data. I can only do one or the other. So you may need to export it to Excel and do some manipulation, but at least it'll give you, a really good starting point on some of that stuff. I'm going to run an HR report. I want to look at certifications because I want to know when my employees' CPR certifications run out. So I'm going to call this my CPR certification expiration report. You can choose the font size, the font face, gives you a couple of options. I'm just going to leave it as detailed. You can choose the report orientation, whether it's portrait or landscape. And then a report group. I'm just going to put it in the default report group. That's where most people live. You can put a description in here if you want. If you're going to use this as a CSV, there are some CSV options down here. Most people don't use this, but there are options there as well. And don't worry about the footer types because we're not going to use those a whole lot either. Once I hit save, now I have all these other columns here. So I'm going to hit add to my columns. This is where I add the fields to the report. By default, it's going to put in department code, location code, employee name and number. I don't need necessarily all of these, but I do want some other fields, right? So I'm going to hit edit here, and I'm going to move to the left, department code and location code, because I don't care about those, and I don't really care about employee number either. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I can choose different field categories and search for them. So we're going to look here at employee data, and this gives us all the employee data fields. So address, birthday, phone number, name, all the employee data things in here that we need, okay? I don't necessarily need any of those, and I'm not quite sure where my stuff is. So I'm just going to search here. So I'm going to go certification, start typing in my search field here. So we're going to look at certifications, and I want to see the expiration date. Okay, so under the category employee certifications, I have expiration date. And let's see if there's an employee certifications category here. Yep. So here we go. So I have an employee certifications field category. So now I can see all of my options in there. So maybe I want my effective date too. And let's see the authority that issued it. So I don't like the order that these are in. I want the authority to come up here. I want the effective date to go first. So I have my employee name, the type of certification, authority, who issued it, effective date, and expiration date. That's what I'm going to run today. I'll hit save. Now I can go to my edit columns. So from here, we can see exactly what we have for columns that we just had. I'm going to hit edit on employee name. I don't need to say employee name. I want it just to say name. Then I can come down if I want to change the column position, if I want to move it around. We already did that, but you can do that as well. If you wanted to do a format, so if it needs to be in a date or number or currency format, if it's a something like that, you can put that in here. We can also change the alignment if you want a left, right, center. If you want a fixed width, we can also choose a sort position. So I want to sort by employee name first, okay? And then we're going to change, so that will give us everything in alphabetical order. In this one, I'm going to not sort that only because I want to do it by the expiration date. So I'm just going to hit cancel out of here. I'm going to go to my expiration date. And again, it kind of changed it here. So I'm going to just call it expiration date. It's already formatted. My string is 6/15, 2019, 2009. That's how I like it. This is what I want to sort. And I want to sort it descending to ascending. So I want to see the most recent expirations first, okay? So we'll hit save on that. Now we can go to filters. I only want to see CPR certifications. So I'm going to go to certification, and now I'm going to say is in this value. So I don't care about their work visas or their business licenses. I only want to see CPR certifications. If I didn't have this filter in place, it would show me all the certifications. So that may be what you want, but in this situation, I only want CPR certifications. I'm going to hit save. Now I can preview this report. This is going to allow me to come in here and see the report. I'm going to choose my company, and we'll choose our date range. So I want to see anybody that's going to expire before June 30th. It's going to go by the pay date. And I want this to be an Excel rather than a PDF. I'm going to hit generate report. And again, go to my reports queue as it's running. See, it hasn't processed yet. It hasn't generated yet. So I'm going to hit refresh. It only takes a second, and then I can view this report. Let's see what data it gives me. Here we go. So Richard Barnes. So I guess we did this a little bit backwards, but so I've got Richard Barnes. He's got his certification expires on 12/31/2025. Then I have Pam Beasley. She goes 2021 which is in October, so I don't have to worry about that one. But here's one, this is expired. I need to worry about this expiration. So you can create reports like this. This is probably the most commonly used reason people are creating custom reports is to do things like these certifications, education, licenses, and those kind of things. So you can see exactly when things are expiring. So this report, really simple, not a lot of fanciness to it, but you could create reports. I did have another report in the report writer that's in here. I'm not sure what my benefit cost report shows me. This one's got a whole bunch of fields in it. You can see year-to-date dollars and all sorts of fun things in here. So definitely lots of data in this one to look at. Let's see if there's any data in it. I can see exactly what it's gonna. Lots of stuff in here. So this is broken down by class or by department, and you can see exactly the breakdown. And basically it shows all the deductions for the year. So if you want to do a reconciliation to make sure employees have paid their fair share and so forth, this is a formula field. We didn't really go over that, but this last column is a formula field. I'll really quickly show you what that looks like. We go back to the report writer and I go to edit columns, and my last, what was that field called? Employee per payment. So here's a monthly amount. So I now have in here, this is a calculated column, which is a formula. And I can click on this little calculator and I can come in here and choose to create a formula in here. So it'll add those columns up in here. So there is the ability to do that. Again, I would definitely recommend taking the class on those. Not terribly difficult, but it's definitely a fun thing. This report runs to, oh no, it doesn't go to the next page. It doesn't have any data on there. So this basically goes through and shows you the data that we wanted. So that is a quick overview of all the reporting within isolved. I'm happy to take any questions. I have the chat open, questions and answers. Feel free to raise your hand. I can allow you to come on in if you have questions. Happy to answer any questions you may have. I'm not seeing any direct questions right now, but if you do have questions, feel free to email me directly, chris@papertrailspayroll.com. I'm happy to get those back to you. This has been recorded just like all of our other trainings. We'll put it on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, so you can see that. And we'll be back next month for the app training, which is June 15th at 2 o'clock. Don't forget to sign up for that. So I look forward to seeing everybody next month, if not sooner. Have a great afternoon.